I was 9 years old when it happened. They think I don't remember. They smile at me now, decades later, and talk about how young I was. How I probably don't even recall that summer, that house, that afternoon when everything changed. But I remember every second. I remember the yellow curtains in the kitchen. I remember the smell of my mother's lavender soap. I remember the exact shade of gray my father's face turned when the phone rang. And I remember what I did, what I caused. They've never said it out loud, but I know. I've always known. My name is Eleanor. I'm 60 years old now. I live in a quiet neighborhood in Virginia with my husband, Daniel. Our children are grown, living their own lives across the country. I have grandchildren who visit during holidays. My days are slow now, gardening, reading, volunteering at the church. But lately, the past has been pressing against me like a weight I can no longer ignore. It started 4 months ago when my younger brother called. Eleanor, he said, his voice hesitant. I've been going through some old boxes. I found something. A letter Mom wrote before she passed. It's addressed to you. My heart stopped. A letter? I whispered.
Yeah.
I think you should read it.
He mailed it to me.
It arrived 3 days later in a small brown envelope, my mother's handwriting still elegant and careful on the front. I haven't opened it yet, because I know what it might say, and I'm not sure I'm ready to face it. Welcome to A Parent Never Forgets. If you love emotional parent and family stories, subscribe and stay with us. I was 9 years old that summer. My brother, Thomas, was only 6. We lived in a small house on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. My father, William, worked at the factory. My mother, Ruth, stayed home with us during the day and cleaned offices at night to bring in a little extra money. We didn't have much, but I didn't know we were struggling. Not really. Children don't see those things the way adults do. But looking back now, I see the signs. I see my mother's tired eyes. I see my father's hands, rough and worn from long shifts. I see the way they whispered late at night, the way they stretched every dollar as far as it would go. And I see the moment I made everything worse.
It was July.
Hot and sticky, the kind of heat that made the air feel thick. Thomas and I spent most of our time outside, playing in the yard, catching fireflies in jars, pretending we were explorers. One afternoon, I was playing near the road when I saw it. A bicycle. It was in the window of Harper's General Store, shining red with white handlebars and a silver bell. I never wanted anything so badly in my entire life. I ran home and begged my mother to take me to see it. Please, Mama, I said, tugging on her apron. Just to look? Please. She sighed, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Eleanor, we can't afford a bicycle right now. I know, I said quickly. I just want to see it. That's all. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she nodded. All right, just to look. We walked to the store together, Thomas trailing behind us. When I saw the bike up close, it was even more beautiful than I'd imagined. Can I sit on it? I asked the shop owner, Mr. Harper. He smiled. Sure, sweetheart. I climbed on, my hands gripping the handlebars, my heart racing. I felt like I was flying. Mama, look, I called. She was watching me, her expression soft but sad. It's lovely, Eleanor, she said quietly. On the walk home, I couldn't stop talking about it. I described every detail. I told her how perfect it was, how it was the only thing I'd ever wanted. Maybe for your birthday, she said gently. But my birthday isn't until November, I whined. That's so far away. She didn't respond. I didn't let it go. Every single day I asked about the bike. I drew pictures of it. I told my father about it at dinner. I made lists of all the places I'd ride it. Eleanor, my father said one evening, his voice firm. Enough. We've told you we can't afford it right now. But why? I asked, tears filling my eyes. Everyone else has a bike. Why can't I? My mother's face crumpled. She stood up quickly and left the table. My father looked at me, his jaw tight. Because we don't have the money, Eleanor. Do you understand? We don't have it. I ran to my room, crying. But I didn't understand. Not really. A week later, I did something I've regretted for 51 years. I found money in my mother's purse. It was a Friday afternoon. She was hanging laundry in the backyard. Her purse was on the kitchen counter, the zipper slightly open. I don't know what came over me. I reached in. There was a small envelope inside with cash, maybe $20 or $30. I took it. I shoved it in my pocket and ran to my room. I told myself I'd give it back. I told myself I was just borrowing it, that I'd find a way to replace it before anyone noticed. But I didn't. I hid it in my dresser drawer under my socks. And 2 days later, everything fell apart. My mother discovered the money was missing on Sunday morning. She was getting ready to go to the market, and she opened her purse to find it empty. "William," she called, her voice shaking. "The grocery money is gone." My father came into the kitchen. "What do you mean, gone?" "It's not here. I had $30 in the envelope. It's not here." They searched the house. They questioned Thomas and me. I lied. I looked my mother in the eyes and said I didn't know anything about it. She believed me. That was the worst part. That week, we ate less. My mother skipped meals, saying she wasn't hungry. My father worked a double shift. And I said nothing. I kept the money hidden, too ashamed to admit what I'd done, too scared of what would happen if I told the truth. Eventually, I spent it, a little bit at a time. Candy from the corner store. A comic book. Things I don't even remember now. But I remember my mother's face that Sunday morning. I remember the way her hands shook as she searched through her purse again and again, hoping the money would somehow reappear. I remember the way my father looked at her, helpless and angry and heartbroken all at once. And I've carried that image with me every day since. Now, 51 years later, I'm sitting at my kitchen table, staring at the envelope my brother sent me. My mother passed away 3 years ago. My father died a decade before her. I never told them what I did. I never asked for forgiveness. And now, this letter sits in front of me, unopened, and I'm terrified of what it might say. Daniel walks into the kitchen, sees me sitting there, and pauses. "Eleanor," he says gently. "You okay?" I look up at him. I don't know if I can open it. He sits down beside me. "What do you think it says?" I think. My voice breaks. I think she knew. Knew what? I tell him. For the first time in my life, I tell someone the whole story. About the bike, the money, the lie. When I finish, Daniel is quiet for a moment. Then he reaches over and takes my hand. "Eleanor," he says softly. "You were 9 years old. I know. But you were a child. You made a mistake. That doesn't define who you are." But I never told her. I never apologized. He squeezes my hand. Maybe that's what the letter is for. I open the envelope with shaking hands. Inside is a single page, written in my mother's careful script. "My dearest Eleanor, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And if I know you the way I think I do, you've been carrying something heavy for a very long time. I want you to know, I knew about the money. I knew it was you. I never said anything because I could see how much you were hurting. I could see the guilt in your eyes every time you looked at me, and I didn't want to make it worse. You were 9 years old, sweetheart. You were just a little girl who wanted something she couldn't have. That's not a sin. That's being human. Your father and I loved you more than anything in this world. We still do. And we forgave you a long time ago, even though there was never anything to forgive. Let it go, Eleanor. Please. Let it go and live your life without this weight. You were always enough. You always will be. With all my love, Mom." I sit there for a long time, tears streaming down my face, the letter clutched in my hands. She knew. She always knew. And she loved me anyway. That evening, I go into the backyard and sit on the bench Daniel built for me years ago. The sun is setting, casting everything in soft gold light. I think about my mother, about her tired eyes and her gentle hands, about the way she gave everything she had to make sure Thomas and I had enough. And I realize she didn't need me to be perfect. She just needed me to be her daughter. And I was. I always was.